Today's video is brought to you by .tech domains. One of the hardest things about securing a domain is getting one that perfectly encapsulates your brand, but with .tech, that's easy and affordable, especially right now with their upcoming Black Friday sale where you can save 95% off and you can pre-register before November 23rd for an extra 10% off. For more information, just head over to go.tech/joker or use the link in the description below now so you can pre-register. Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today I need to talk to you about Nvidia RTX and how that technology pertains to Battlefield 5, which is now available for Origin Access Premier members. If you have that subscription-based service, which I do, it's $100 a year. It's pretty good value, honestly. If you're going to play like even just like 2 games a year that come out from EA, as evil as they are, they still do make pretty decent products, and Battlefield is something I've been a fan of forever, so I got the premium pass and I have access to the game right now, but there is no sight of the of RTX features, which is one of the biggest things they were pushing for. Now, of course, this is early access, so it might not come until the game officially releases on the 20th. I'm sincerely doubting that it will, but I'm more concerned about the performance aspect of it, and not just the performance impact of Nvidia RTX, which we already know is going to be extremely demanding, even for the likes of the $1,200 RTX 2080 Ti. No. The real performance issue that I'm talking about is DirectX 12, which it is going to require you to use to be able to take advantage of Nvidia RTX ray tracing features on your shiny new $1,200 graphics card. And DirectX 12, as I said, is going to be the main problem, because when it comes to Frostbite 3, which is the engine used in Battlefield 5, it runs like absolute dog shit. And this has always been the case with Frostbite 3 games. It doesn't matter. Going back to Battlefield 1, Battlefront 2, all of these games have toggleable DX12 option, and in every one of those games, which I've done performance reviews on, I mention how bad DirectX 12 is on those titles. It's not only the fact that the frame rate is a little bit lower, because it is, but the main issue is the hitching. This has always been a thing on the Frostbite 3 engine, which is why I've never advised anyone to use DirectX 12, because the engine was not built for DirectX 12. It's been around since Battlefield 4 back in 2013, and that game had DirectX 11 and Mantle, which, if you remember Mantle, that's basically now Vulkan. It was kind of binned by AMD. It was their kind of like their low overhead API that they were pushing for before DirectX 12 became a thing, and nowadays it's more or less known as Vulkan. It's been kind of reworked from there, and it's a very good technology, Vulkan. It's a pretty darn amazing, actually, in games that utilize it properly, like Doom and Wolfenstein 2 and all of that. So things like that, it's really good. But DirectX 12, this engine was not built for, and as a result, all of these games that have just thrown it on as this like virtual checkbox just to say, hey, we have a DirectX 12 game, they've all run really bad. So I'm going to be showing you some gameplay right now here on Battlefield 5 on DirectX 12, and this is just me running to an area where I wanted to use for a benchmark for this video, which I will show soon. We're going to look at DX11 side by side with DX12, so you can see the performance there. But you'll notice here when I'm running through on the map of Narvik, and this is running on an RTX 2070 Ultra settings 1440p along with a 9900K. The CPU is overclocked to 5 GHz. The GPU is not overclocked. But really the main focus here is not particularly the hardware. It's, what is actually happening on the screen. And you may already be noticing by now that there are pretty much every few seconds, without failure, you will see the frame rate start to hitch. And this will happen on Nvidia cards just as well as AMD cards. They both do it. It's the engine. It's not really the hardware. So you'll see the frame rate hitch. Sometimes it'll drop down to like 0 frames per second. The CPU usage might drop down to 0% across all cores. It can vary, but you will undeniably see hitching. Even watching it here on YouTube, you will be able to see this, and I encourage you to probably put it up to like full screen if you're watching it on a monitor or something, and you'll probably be able to see the effects a little bit easier. But yeah, this is something, like I said, has been around since they've started putting DirectX 12 options into games from EA that are using the Frostbite 3 engine. So It's really bad. It's not enjoyable. It's virtually unplayable. I mean, it's awful. I don't know why anyone would put DirectX 12 on in Battlefield 5 or any of the other games that I had mentioned earlier, and that is what they are going to need for you to play with RTX, which we already know is going to be taxing, but now you've got to use this as well, and so your game's going to be hitching along, and sure, maybe you'll get some pretty screenshots of ray tracing effects, but you're going to have really bad hitching because of DirectX 12. Now, when it comes to performance, there is a small performance drop-off for using DirectX 12. It gets a few frames per second less than on DX11. I'll be playing right now a side-by-side comparison, going through the same area, so it's, trying to be almost identical as possible, same settings and everything like that. The only difference is that I toggled from DirectX 12 to DirectX 11. I had to reload the game and all of that. You could see it, though, in the Afterburner overlay. It says DX11 and DX12. So DX11 runs a few frames better. It's like 5 to 7 FPS, maybe better than DirectX 12, which, in and of itself is like, okay, if it's going to run better in DX11, obviously I'm going to use DX11, even if the hitching wasn't an issue. But I guess if that was the barrier of entry to use RTX features, and they said, okay, well, if you're going to use RTX, it's going to have a performance impact because of the ray tracing, and then you're also going to lose about another 5 to 7 FPS on top of that because it's DirectX 12. I wouldn't have honestly made the trouble, gone through the trouble of making this video. I really wouldn't. 5 to 7 FPS at the end of the day, it's like, okay, that's price of admission to use RTX this early on. Fine. I get it. But, for anyone that's just playing the game without ray tracing, use DX11 anyway because it runs better. Higher frame rate, no hitching whatsoever, just absolutely smooth as butter. So when it came to the average FPS and the 1% low, I did throw up a little graph here of that benchmark run that I showed you side by side. DX11, the RTX 2070 got an average of 94 FPS with a 1% low of 81, while on DX12, it got an average of 87 FPS and a 1% low of 66. And you'll notice a much larger disparity on DirectX 12 for the 1% low, which is a result of that hitching, where it's having that constant stoppage. The frame times are just all over the place, and the performance just tanks. So that's why we see the 1% lower so much, lower than we saw with DX11, a much bigger disparity between the two numbers there. So that's really it on what I've got to talk about here with Nvidia RTX and DirectX 12. As I said, though, ray tracing is not in the game yet. You can't find it in the menus anywhere, even running on an RTX card like I was using here, the RTX 2070. It's not in the menus. It might be patched in by December 20th, but then we're also banking on Microsoft fixing all of the issues they had with the fall update, which is something you need to also use things like ray tracing and DLSS. So there are a lot of things that need to happen for this to even come together before you can even have to have the pleasure of using DirectX 12 and its really hitchy performance on Battlefield 5 to go ahead and leverage it. Microsoft needs to fix their shit. Battlefield needs to patch it in, and by some miracle, DirectX 12, which has never worked on the Frostbite 3 engine, needs to get fixed as well. So if you spent $1,200 on a graphics card, use ray tracing in Battlefield, I really hope that you... I don't know. I feel bad for you, okay? It's not something you should look forward to. Maybe Shadow of the Tomb Raider will be better. That game runs really great in DirectX 12. Not all games run bad in DirectX 12, but a lot of them do. And this is one of them. And it's really just, how can they fix this? They can't fix it now in this game. What they need to do is build Frostbite 4. They need a new engine. They need it to be built from the ground up to take advantage of DirectX 12 and other low overhead APIs like Vulkan preferably. And that's what they need to do to be able to get this problem fixed, which they're not going to be able to do in VF5. It's not going to happen. They're not going to port it over to a new engine. It's ridiculous. So don't plan on using RTX in any sort of playable way that you could actually enjoy the game using it. So I'm going to get out of here. Sorry to burst your bubble if you were looking forward to RTX features coming to Battlefield 5, but it's going to run like a fucking burning dumpster fire. I'm going to get out of here, as I said. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever way you happen to go on things. It's up to you, really. And I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Ta-ra.